Listen Up with Jim Potts. Listen up, business owners, CFOs, human resource managers, and all managers and supervisors. Jim Potts is answering and addressing your questions and concerns, helping you stay out of court. Furthermore, please be advised that Jim's answers are not legal advice and are only intended as a guide based on his years of experience. The phone lines are open. 1-855-4-J-POTS. That's 1-855-457-6887. You can also email us at listenup@jameswilliampottsllc.com. Ready to listen up? Here is Jim Potts.
Jim Potts back on the air. How is everybody doing today? Well, as usual, I always want to thank you for listening. I know there's other things you could be doing. At any rate, look, I got this email within the last couple of days, and it has to do with that new North Carolina law regarding employers in the ladies' restrooms, etc. I'm sure you've seen this, been all over the news. This thing about the people leading the alternative lifestyle, this keeps coming back. People ask me emails asking for my opinions in this area. I hope this isn't getting to be an old issue for some people when I keep talking about this from time to time, but it's only because this is what's out there. And when people ask me questions, I try to respond to them and give opinions. And again, those are just my humble opinions. But at any rate, this new issue in North Carolina, that if you work in North Carolina, your employer now has to require men to use the ladies' room. Not all men, but some men. These men have beards, mustaches, and quite frankly, genitals. But they have to use the ladies' room due to the new law just signed by the governor out there. And if you're in business, you are now legally required to humiliate some of your customers and allow others to be, quote unquote, frightened by, when they walk in the restroom and they see these different gender issues with individuals, men using the ladies' room, etc. Look, you got to understand, this is an emotional issue. The person that sent me the email, just put anonymous. Everybody doesn't always like to say who they are, and that's fine. And hopefully the individuals listening today. But you got to understand that because it's an emotional issue, people are doing things that are unreasonable, in my opinion. We've got to accept in our society this issue of people leading the alternative lifestyle. Men in transition, women in transition. It's here to stay, and you've got to understand that legally there are going to be these laws that are going to come into place that's going to protect these individuals. And quite frankly, I'm an advocate. I think anytime somebody's held out as being different for whatever the reason may be, I think there has to be laws in place. It's not for us to agree or disagree. It's just the way it's going to be. Now, this person sent me some information and thinks about, in terms of the effect of this bill. And, some hypotheticals here. You're a business owner. A major client was born male but dresses as a female, considers herself a female, and has had the operation to become female. Now, you can't let her use the ladies' room. That's ridiculous. It's going to be is this person's, position. Look, we understand. You're dealing with the public. You're dealing with employees. I have this discussion with my clients all the time, and some of the management training seminars that we do, and we talk about this business of the unisex restrooms as an example. We're going to have to understand at some point in this country, we need to go to all unisex restrooms. If we have unisex restrooms, we're not going to be in this dilemma, regarding what restrooms that people in transition use. And, these different states have different opinions. You have different people within the states. You have different people that are lawmakers that have different opinions about these things. You're just going to have to live with it. Now, another scenario that's given here was that the person was born a male but dresses as a female. The person considers themselves a female. Then the co-workers and their employer have accepted the person as a female. But now all of a sudden, because of this new law in North Carolina, the employer can't let the person use the ladies' room. They have to use the men's room because anatomically they're still a male. Now, it's the same thing with the customers. Then you got to explain to the customers why the individuals in the men's room and risk being attacked in the men's room by anyone who's either homophobic or just a rapist. Okay, now look, this is all very strange language. I mean, it's strange language, strong language in my opinion, and hopefully nobody's going to be, raping anybody in the restrooms behind all of this. I mean, I haven't heard any cases about any of that. I do agree about there are people out there that are homophobic. Those are more men, from what I understand. I'm not a psychologist or the person that makes those determinations, nor do I have any legal training in that area. But we have heard the stories of men who are homophobic, who have in fact beat up people that were either in transition or leading the alternative lifestyle. And that's what we have to understand, is that behavior is wrong for whatever reason, because that's an assault and battery. It can be a misdemeanor, and it could even reach the level of being a felony, depending on how severe that the beating is, or if anything was used that totally endangered their life. So look, whoever you are out there in North Carolina, I understand that these can be emotional issues. I remember on the news today they were talking about this once again, and the governor's trying to make some concessions or whatever it is that he's doing out there. So it's coming. It's coming. We need to get off the bandwagon with some of this emotion and just understand and accept people for who they are, and not what we consider what they are. And it's the same with some of these other protected categories. It's not a new argument. Discrimination against blacks, discrimination against women that are pregnant, discrimination against people over 40. All of those things fit into the same protected categories. Even though there's only 21 states now that have protections for people, leading an alternative lifestyle or sexual orientation, sexual identity, etc. Okay, I get it. The protections are there. Please be patient and understand that the rights of everybody will be protected. I think the governor went a little far with this. I think he was trying to make a point. If you were asking my opinion, which you did, I think he went a little bit too far with this. And when you do things like this, it kind of creates the emotional response that people have, either in favor or obviously if they're in they don't like what in fact it was, it's disfavored was the word I was searching for. So at any rate, let's move on. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you very much for sending me the email, but let's move on. Well, I got another email, and this email has to do with whether or not this business about progressive discipline and does it really work, and how do plaintiff attorneys look at progressive discipline. Because it's true, employers are really up against the wall, their backs are to the wall regarding this issue of lawsuits. So basically, I talked to a couple of plaintiff attorneys that I knew who said that generally among plaintiff attorneys, their general concept is with every new potential client, they always ask them, did you receive a warning before being terminated? And they've told me as soon as they hear the answer yes, it slows down the march toward litigation. Why? Because of the fact that the employer did what they were supposed to do. One of the biggest arguments I always have, not arguments I should say, one of the biggest points I'm always stressing with management is that you have got to do documentation, written warnings. And I get frustrated when I hear I've warned them verbally 100 times. That does not count. Plaintiff attorneys, they are afraid of written documentation. Why? Because it softens their case. Their person was put on notice. And especially when these individuals sign it. And if they refuse to sign it, it's very simple. Have a witness that signs the warning that they saw the person refuse to sign it. Now, they also told me that juries actually expect some level of progressive discipline, and they think it should be required. So hear that for a second. Juries, they're sitting in a jury box. Who's sitting in a jury box? It is employees. The majority of the people sitting in a jury box are going to be employees who are going to sit down and think about that same think about the manager that they have and say, you know what? The person should have been warned. And quite frankly, I would agree with that. Now look, you can't warn somebody on every single thing. If you've got somebody out there that gets into a physical altercation, whether or not that's a policy or not, we'll say, whether or not they've been warned or not, physical altercation, they get terminated. You're not going to give a written warning to somebody for beating somebody up, stealing, or doing those kind of things. So in those particular cases, you don't have to worry about the written warning as much. Written warning should really be geared toward the violation of the basic policies that the employer has, getting to work late, not following procedures, etc. But the juries, according to the plaintiff attorneys I've talked to, they expect there to be some kind of progressive discipline. Now understand something else they told me. Clients don't run to attorneys because they think they got a great legal case. They come, they say, generally speaking, because they don't like the way that they were treated. And I tell managers that all the time. That word respect. You've got to respect your employees. You may not like your employee for whoever they are, for what they do, and they're malingerers, whatever, but you've got to understand about this word respect. I can't tell you how many times we see claims where it's all about the fact that the person didn't respect the person, and that's why they really went to an attorney. So respect is a big issue. So, do unto others as you would have others do unto you is a very good guideline for managers to follow. You would not want your boss to walk in and terminate you without having previously warned you regarding whatever the infraction may be. So just to recap that very quickly, juries are looking for progressive discipline. There are employees sitting in those jury boxes. If you get that far, you want to make sure that you've done what you were supposed to do. So to answer your question, who is this? Oh, this is Joe from Joe from Las Vegas, actually. You, Joe, understand that this is what they're looking for. Progressive discipline, it slows down the case. And that is my time. At any rate, I gotta tell you, with that last comment, it's time to close out this segment, but let me remind you that you can also hear us on Facebook at Listen Up and subscribe to us on iTunes. Just look for Listen Up with Jim Potts. And as a reminder, we take calls every third Friday between the hours of 9:45 and 11 o'clock roughly. All right? We can be reached at 855-4J-POTS or 855-457-6887. Or you can email us like some of these other individuals do, because people don't always call. They're just too bashful, I guess, whatever the case may be. You can email us at listenup@jameswilliampottsllc.com. Okay, I'm Jim Potts. I will continue to fight the fight. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for being a part of Listen Up with Jim Potts. We take your calls every third Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for your questions and concerns. Call us at 1-855-4J-POTS. That's 1-855-4J-POTS. Again, that's every third Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time at 1-855-4J-POTS. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, and link up with us on LinkedIn. You can also email us at listenup@jameswilliampottsllc.com. Until next time, make it a great week.